everyone. Ready for a deep dive into becoming a people magnet? We're cracking open Marc Reklau's How to Become a People Magnet.
It's a fascinating book.
It really is. Reklau is this coach and author, and he's got some really interesting ideas about how we can all boost our charisma, be more influential by just building the right habits.
Yeah, it's all about those small shifts in thinking and behavior that can have huge results in how people respond to you.
Yeah, exactly. So what's the deal? What's this book all about?
Well, it's not about manipulating people.
Okay, good.
It's about understanding the psychology behind what makes people tick.
Right.
And using that to create genuine connections where everyone wins.
Okay, I like that. So tell me, what was one of the things you learned from the book that really surprised you? Because I have to admit, some of Reklau's ideas, they really challenged my assumptions.
You know, the whole idea that good guys don't finish last was a big one for me.
Yes.
For so long, we've been told that nice guys finish last, that you got to be cutthroat to get ahead. But Reklau totally flips that idea on its head.
Totally. It's almost like he's giving us permission to be our authentic, kind self without worrying that people will walk all over us.
Yeah.
So how does he explain that? Does being good, does that actually attract success?
He argues that building genuine relationships based on respect and kindness, that's actually the most sustainable path to success. You know, it's not about being a pushover.
Right.
It's about creating a network of people who genuinely want to support you because they value you and they trust you.
Makes sense. Attracts, right.
Exactly.
So where do we begin? Where do we even start with building this people magnet personality?
Well, Reklau starts with a reality check. He says the first step is understanding that people are, at their core, interested in themselves.
Okay. That sounds a bit cynical.
I know. It's not about being selfish. It's just our brains are wired.
Yeah.
We're all constantly thinking, what's in it for me?
Okay. Well, I guess if we're being honest with ourselves, that's kind of true.
Yeah.
So once we understand that, then what? How does that change how we approach our interactions?
Instead of focusing on what you want,
Yeah.
you start thinking about what the other person wants.
Okay.
What are their needs? What are their desires? What are their motivations?
Okay, I see where you're going with this. It's about tailoring your approach to resonate with the other person.
Exactly. And that leads us to, his next big point.
Yeah.
The most important subject in any conversation, it's the other person. People love talking about themselves.
Oh, yeah. It's like scratching an itch you didn't know you had.
Exactly.
I know I can be guilty of talking about myself too much.
It's easy to do.
It is. But what's the psychology behind that? Why are we so obsessed with ourselves?
Our ego is always seeking validation.
Right.
When we talk about ourselves, we're basically feeding our ego. It makes us feel important, makes us feel recognized and understood.
Yeah.
And when someone else genuinely listens to us talk about ourselves, it makes us feel even better.
So how do we use this to our advantage? This power of you, as you call it, without seeming, fake or manipulative. I don't want to just go around showering people with compliments that they don't believe.
No, it have to be genuine. It's about being genuinely interested in the other person.
Okay.
Ask questions about themselves, their work, their hobbies, their passions, and really listen to the answers.
Okay.
People can tell when you're faking it, but when you're truly engaged, that's when you create that powerful connection.
So it's about being more of a listener than a talker.
Exactly. Active listening is key here.
Okay.
It's not just about hearing the words. It's about being fully present, being fully engaged. Make eye contact, nod your head, ask clarifying questions, all those things. This makes the other person feel like they're the only person in the room. And that's a really powerful feeling.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've established that people love talking about themselves. What's the next step in becoming a people magnet?
Reklau emphasizes the importance of agreement,
Okay.
even when you disagree.
Oh, that's interesting.
He argues that arguing is almost always a losing battle.
Okay.
No one wins.
Yeah.
And often it just creates resentment.
Hold on, are you saying I should just agree with everyone, even when they're wrong?
Well, not necessarily.
Okay.
But he poses this really interesting question. He says, do you want to be right or do you want to be at peace? Sometimes maintaining harmony and connection, it's more valuable than proving your point.
Okay, I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
So how do I find that balance between standing my ground and maintaining peace?
Well, it starts with understanding that people are often attached to their beliefs.
Right.
Even if they're not based on facts. When you challenge someone's beliefs directly, It triggers their defense mechanisms. It's like poking a bear with a stick.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
So instead of attacking their beliefs head on, what can you do? Try to find common ground,
Okay.
even if it's just acknowledging their perspective.
Yeah.
You could say something like, I understand where you're coming from, or I appreciate your point of view. This shows respect.
Okay.
And it creates a more open, receptive atmosphere for dialogue.
That's helpful. So we've talked about the power of you, the importance of agreement, and the art of active listening. What else can we do to become more magnetic?
Reklau talks about the importance of first impressions.
Okay. Yes.
And you know what plays a huge role in first impressions?
Tell me.
Smiling. A genuine smile can instantly make you more likable, more approachable.
Yeah, smiling's good, but does it really have that much power?
Oh, yeah. It's not just about being polite.
Okay.
It's about triggering this subconscious response in the other person.
Interesting.
Our brains are wired to mirror the emotions we see in others.
Oh, wow.
When you smile at someone, it activates their mirror neurons,
Right.
which causes them to smile back instinctively.
Oh, wow. I never thought about it that way. So it's like a chain reaction of positivity.
Exactly. And here's the fascinating part. Smiling releases endorphins, which have mood-boosting effects, pain-relieving effects. Some studies suggest that smiling regularly can even boost your immune system and increase your lifespan.
Wait, are you saying that smiling can make you live longer?
Potentially?
Wow, I'm going to start smiling a lot more. So, besides smiling, what else can we do to make a good first impression?
Reklau suggests doing a little research beforehand,
Okay.
especially before important meetings. Find out about the other person's interests, hobbies, or their work.
Right.
It shows genuine interest, gives you something to connect with beyond the usual small talk.
That's a good tip. I am terrible at small talk.
Yeah.
It always feels so forced and awkward.
It does, but when you have something specific to talk about,
Yeah.
something that genuinely interests the other person, the conversation flows naturally. Think about it like a salesperson. Who researches a client's needs before a pitch? They're not just trying to sell a product, they're trying to build a relationship
Right.
and solve a problem.
I'm starting to see how this all fits together. It's about being authentic, understanding the other person's perspective, and building genuine connections.
Exactly. And speaking of genuine connections, Reklau talks about developing what he calls an attractive personality.
Okay.
But he's not talking about physical appearance.
Okay, good.
It's about cultivating this inner magnetism that draws people to you.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this attractive personality. What's the secret sauce?
He breaks it down into 3 key ingredients: acceptance, approval, and appreciation.
Okay.
Start by accepting people as they are, flaws and all.
Oh, that's easier said than done sometimes.
I know, right?
But it's so important.
It is. When you accept people unconditionally, it creates this safe, comfortable space for them to be themselves. And when people feel safe and accepted, they're more likely to open up to you and connect with you on a deeper level.
That makes sense. So what about approval? How do you approve of someone when they're doing things you don't necessarily agree with?
It's not about approving of every single thing they do. It's about finding something to genuinely appreciate in each person.
Okay.
Everyone has their strengths, their talents, their unique qualities.
Okay. I can see how focusing on the positive aspects of a person can shift your whole perspective.
Exactly. And then there's appreciation.
Yeah.
Expressing gratitude for the people in your life,
So
for their presence, their support, their unique contributions.
it's about making people feel seen and valued.
Precisely. When you make someone feel appreciated, you're tapping into one of their deepest human needs, the need to feel significant.
Right.
And that creates a really powerful bond.
This is all so fascinating. I'm starting to see how these seemingly small shifts in perspective can have a huge impact on our relationships.
Absolutely. It all ties back to Reklau's core message, becoming a people magnet. It's about understanding human nature, building genuine connections, and approaching every interaction with kindness and respect.
This is brilliant. I'm already feeling inspired to put some of these ideas into action. Okay, before we move on, let's quickly recap the key points we've covered so far. First, understand that people are fundamentally interested in themselves. Second, use the power of you by making the other person the most important subject in the conversation. Third, embrace the art of agreement, even when you disagree, by finding common ground and respecting the other person's perspective. Fourth, Make a killer first impression with a genuine smile and by doing a little research beforehand. And finally, cultivate an attractive personality by practicing acceptance, approval, and appreciation.
That's a great summary. And remember, these are just a few of the many insights that Reklau shares in his book.
Okay.
We've only just scratched the surface.
I know, right? I can't wait to dive into the next section. But first, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned so far. What resonates most with you?
Personally, I'm really fascinated by the power of a smile. It's such a simple act, but it can have such a profound impact on our interactions.
I agree. And I love the idea of focusing on the other person's needs and desires.
Yeah.
It's a powerful way to build rapport and create win-win situations. Okay, are you ready to explore more of Reklau's wisdom?
Absolutely. Let's dive back in.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about understanding other people's motivations,
Right.
which Reklau highlights as absolutely crucial for becoming a people magnet. It's almost like speaking a different language,
Okay.
the language of their desires.
Oh, I love that analogy.
I-
So it's not about manipulating people.
No,
It's about learning to communicate in a way that resonates with them.
exactly. It's like that classic Dale Carnegie quote.
You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you.
Oh, that is so true. But how do we put that into practice? I mean, it's easy to say focus on the other person, but what does that actually look like in our everyday interactions?
Reklau uses this brilliant analogy. He compares it to fishing.
Okay.
You wouldn't bait a hook with what you like to eat, would you?
No.
You use what the fish is attracted to.
That's such a vivid image. So we need to figure out what kind of bait will attract the people we want to connect with.
Exactly. It's about understanding their wants and needs and framing things in a way that aligns with what they want to achieve.
Okay.
For example, let's say you're trying to convince a friend to join you for a workout class.
Okay.
Instead of saying, come on, it'll be fun,
Right.
try saying, I know you've been wanting to get in better shape, and this class is amazing for building core strength.
Ah, so you're appealing to their desire to get fit rather than just focusing on your own desire to have a workout buddy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're more likely to get a yes because you've made it about them, not you.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. It's like speaking their language, appealing to their values and motivations.
Right. And here's another key point. Reklau says one of the most powerful ways to influence someone is to make them feel like they came up with the idea themselves.
Oh, that's clever.
Hmm.
It's like you're planting a seed and letting it grow organically.
Right.
But how do you do that without being manipulative?
It's all about asking the right questions. Instead of telling someone what to do, try asking questions that guide them towards the desired conclusion.
Okay.
For example, instead of saying, you should really try meditating, it's so good for stress, you might ask, have you ever considered trying meditation? I've heard it can be really helpful for managing stress. What are your thoughts on that?
Ah, so you're planting the seed. Without forcing it down their throat, you're letting them come to the conclusion on their own.
Exactly. It feels more empowering for them, and they're more likely to embrace the idea if they feel like it was their own.
I love that. It's like you're giving them a gentle nudge in the right direction rather than pushing them.
And here's another powerful technique that Reklau shares, the yes ladder.
Okay.
It's this classic persuasion technique that's incredibly effective.
Okay, tell me more about this yes ladder. I'm always up for learning new persuasion tricks.
So the idea is to get the person to say yes to a series of small, easy to agree with questions, gradually building momentum
Okay.
and increasing the likelihood of a final yes to your main request.
Oh, that's interesting. So you're kind of warming them up to the big ask by getting them into a yes mindset.
Exactly. For example, let's say you're trying to get a friend to donate to your favorite charity.
Okay.
You might start by asking them if they agree that helping those in need is important. Then you might ask if they believe in the work that your charity does. And finally, you might ask if they'd be willing to make a small donation to support the cause.
Ah, I see how that works.
Yeah.
By getting them to say yes to those smaller questions, you're making it harder for them to say no to the final request.
Precisely. It's a subtle but powerful way to influence their decision-making process.
This is brilliant. I'm starting to see how all these techniques fit together like puzzle pieces. Understanding the other person's motivations, framing things in a way that resonates with them, asking the right questions, using techniques like the yes ladder. It's all about creating a win-win scenario where both parties feel good about the outcome.
Exactly. It's about building genuine connections and creating relationships that are mutually beneficial.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Reklau also talks about the importance of body language in becoming a people magnet. What are some of the key takeaways from that section?
He highlights the power of mirroring.
Okay.
When you subtly mirror someone's body language,
Okay.
their posture, their gestures, even their tone of voice, it creates a subconscious sense of rapport and connection. It's like saying, I'm on the same wavelength as you.
Oh, I've heard of that before. It's like you're creating a sense of harmony and synchronicity. But how do you do it without being, creepy or obvious?
It has to be subtle. It has to be natural. Don't just mimic their every move like a robot.
Right.
Pay attention to their overall energy and try to match it. If they're leaning forward and speaking enthusiastically, lean forward and show your interest. If they're speaking softly and thoughtfully, adjust your tone accordingly.
It's more about picking up on their vibe and reflecting it back to them.
Exactly. It's about finding that unspoken rhythm that creates a sense of connection.
Okay. That makes sense. What other body language tips does Reklau share?
He emphasizes the importance of making eye contact.
Okay, yes.
It's one of the most powerful ways to connect with someone. When you look someone in the eye, you're showing them that you're present.
Right.
You're engaged.
Yeah.
You're interested in what they have to say.
I know eye contact is important, but I have to admit, I sometimes struggle with it.
It's understandable.
It can feel so intense, especially if you're shy or introverted.
I understand it can be nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But it gets easier with practice.
Okay.
Start by focusing on one eye at a time
Yeah.
and hold their gaze for a few seconds before looking away. You don't have to stare them down.
Okay, that feels less intimidating. Any other tips for making eye contact feel more natural?
Think of it as a way of sending positive energy. Smile with your eyes and imagine you're connecting with their soul, not just their physical body.
Wow, that's beautiful. I'm going to try that. Okay, so we've talked about mirroring and eye contact.
Yeah.
What else can we do with our body language to become more magnetic?
Reklau suggests paying attention to your posture.
Okay.
Stand tall, shoulders back, head held high. This conveys confidence, self-assurance.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, exactly. Even if you don't feel confident on the inside, standing tall can actually trick your brain into feeling more confident.
That's fascinating. So our body language can actually influence our emotions.
Absolutely. It's a two-way street. When you change your body language, you change your state of mind.
Okay. I'm going to start paying more attention to my posture. Any other body language tips?
Reklau suggests using hand gestures to emphasize your points
Okay.
and convey enthusiasm. But again, it's about finding a balance.
Mm.
You don't want to be flailing your arms around like a windmill.
Right. That would be distracting. So use hand gestures strategically and purposefully.
Exactly. And remember, the most important thing is to be authentic. Don't try to force body language that doesn't feel natural to you. People can spot a fake a mile away.
That's great advice. Be yourself, but be the best version of yourself.
Right. And now that we've covered body language, let's move on to another important aspect of becoming a people magnet. Recognizing the worth of every individual.
Okay, tell me more about that. What does Reklau say about recognizing individual worth?
He emphasizes the importance of treating everyone with respect and appreciation.
Okay.
Regardless of their position or their status, it's about seeing the value in every human being, regardless of their accomplishments or their social standing.
That's such a powerful message. It's easy to get caught up in judging people based on external factors. But we all have inherent worth.
Exactly. And when you approach every interaction with that mindset, it changes everything. You start to see the good in people, even those who might seem unlikable at first.
So it's about looking beyond the surface and seeing the humanity in everyone.
Precisely. It's about shifting your perspective from judgment to appreciation.
I love that. So how do we put this into practice? How do we make sure we're treating everyone with respect and recognizing their worth?
Reklau suggests being mindful of the common mistakes we make that damage relationships.
Okay.
For example, failing to give credit where credit is due.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. It's so easy to take credit for other people's work or ideas, especially in a competitive environment.
It is. But it's important to acknowledge and appreciate the contributions of others.
Right.
It shows respect and builds trust.
And what about ignoring unfairness?
That's another common mistake that can erode relationships. When you witness unfairness and you do nothing about it, it sends the message that you don't care.
It's like you're condoning the behavior by staying silent.
Exactly. Reklau encourages us to speak up against injustice, even when it's uncomfortable.
That takes courage. But it's so important to stand up for what's right, even if it means going against the grain.
And finally, he talks about the importance of not neglecting praise.
Oh, praise is so important. Everyone wants to feel appreciated and recognized for their efforts.
Exactly. And yet it's something that we often forget to do. We get caught up in our own busy lives, and we forget to take the time to acknowledge and appreciate the people around us.
So make it a point to express your appreciation regularly. Tell people what you admire about them, what you value about their contributions, how much they mean to you.
Yes. And be specific. Instead of just saying, good job,
Right.
tell them exactly what they did well and why it impressed you.
That's great advice. I'm definitely going to make a conscious effort to give more praise. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground so far. Let's take a moment to reflect. What's resonating with you most from this section?
I love the idea of shifting our perspective from judgment to appreciation. It's such a simple shift, but it can have a profound impact on our relationships.
I agree. It's about choosing to see the best in people, even when it's challenging. And I love the idea of being more mindful of how we give credit, address unfairness, and express praise. These are small but powerful ways to show people that we value them.
Exactly. And those small acts of kindness and respect, they can make all the difference in building strong and lasting relationships.
That was great. I'm still thinking about that idea of seeing the good in everyone. It's so powerful.
Yeah, it really changes how you interact with people.
It really does. Okay, so, Reklau talks about owning your mistakes can actually make you more influential, which, seems counterintuitive. We're always taught to hide our flaws, right? Present this perfect image to the world. So why would admitting our mistakes make us more magnetic?
Well, think about it. When someone's constantly trying to be perfect, it kind of creates this distance.
Right.
They seem untouchable, almost superhuman.
Yeah.
But when someone's willing to admit their mistakes, it makes them more relatable, more human.
Ah, I see what you mean. It's like you're letting your guard down a bit, showing your vulnerability, and that creates a sense of trust.
Exactly. It also demonstrates humility, which is a very attractive quality.
Right.
When you're humble, you're not afraid to admit you don't have all the answers. You're open to learning from others, which makes you, a more engaging and inspiring person to be around.
Okay, so how do we put this into practice? How do we own our mistakes in a way that's, authentic and empowering?
Reklau suggests starting by acknowledging the mistake directly, without making excuses or blaming others.
Okay.
Take responsibility for your actions and the consequences that followed.
So it's about being accountable, not defensive.
Exactly. And then express your regret for any harm caused by your mistake. This shows empathy and a willingness to make amends.
It's about acknowledging the impact of your actions on others.
Right. And then most importantly, focus on what you've learned from the experience. How will you do things differently in the future?
Ah. So it's about turning the mistake into a learning opportunity, a stepping stone for growth.
Exactly. When you approach mistakes with this mindset, they become less about shame and more about growth and self-improvement.
I love that. It's about embracing our imperfections as part of our, human journey.
And remember, everyone makes mistakes. It's part of what makes us human. And when you own your mistakes with grace and humility, it gives other people permission to do the same.
That's so powerful. It creates a culture of trust and transparency where people feel safe to be themselves, flaws and all. So Reklau also talks about the importance of just being nice, which might seem obvious, but I think it's something we often forget in our busy, stressed out lives.
It's true.
Reklau argues that kindness, it's actually a superpower, especially in a world that can feel increasingly, harsh and cynical.
He believes that kindness has a ripple effect. When you're kind to someone, it not only makes them feel good, but it also inspires them to be kind to others.
Oh, I love that. It's like a chain reaction of positivity.
Exactly. And remember, kindness doesn't mean being a pushover. It's about setting healthy boundaries.
Right.
And standing up for yourself while still treating others with respect and compassion.
So it's about finding that balance between kindness and assertiveness, knowing when to speak up and when to let things go.
Right. It's about being true to yourself while still treating others with the dignity and respect they deserve.
Okay, Let's talk about another important aspect of becoming a people magnet: positivity. Reklau argues that people are naturally drawn to those who radiate, optimism and enthusiasm.
Makes sense, right?
Sure.
We all want to be around people who lift us up,
Yeah,
who inspire us to see the good in the world.
exactly. But how do we cultivate positivity,
Hmm.
especially when we're facing challenges or feeling down?
Mm.
Is it just about faking it till we make it?
It's more about shifting your focus. Instead of dwelling on the negative, try to find something positive in every situation. It might be a small thing, but focusing on the good, however tiny it may seem, can shift your entire perspective.
So it's about training our minds to see the silver lining, the opportunity for growth, even in the midst of difficulty.
Exactly. And it's about surrounding yourself with positive people. Those who inspire you lift you up. The people you spend time with, they have a huge impact on your energy and outlook.
That's so true. It's like that saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Right. So choose your company wisely. Surround yourself with people who radiate joy, kindness, and optimism.
I love that. Okay, before we wrap up, let's touch on one last important point from the book: the power of praise. Reklau is a huge advocate for giving praise generously and authentically.
He believes that praise is one of the most powerful motivators. When you praise someone, you're not just acknowledging their accomplishments, you're also fueling their desire to excel, to continue striving for greatness.
It's like you're giving them a shot of confidence and motivation.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be a grand gesture. Even small, specific compliments can make a huge difference in someone's day.
So instead of just saying, great job, tell them specifically what you appreciated about their work or their effort.
Right. For example, you might say, I really appreciated how you took the initiative to solve that problem. It saved us a lot of time and hassle.
So you're acknowledging their specific contribution and highlighting its positive impact.
Exactly. And remember, praise should always be genuine, heartfelt. People can tell when you're just saying something to be polite.
Wow, we've covered so much ground today. This has been such a fascinating exploration of Marc Reklau's How to Become a People Magnet. I'm already feeling inspired to put some of these ideas into action.
Me too. It's a really practical book and insightful.
It really is.
It's not about manipulation or trickery.
Right.
It's about understanding human nature and using that knowledge to build genuine connections where, everyone wins.
Exactly. It's about becoming the best version of ourselves, the kind of person who attracts positivity, success, and those meaningful relationships.
And it all starts with making a conscious choice to, shift our perspective, to embrace kindness, to cultivate positivity, and to treat every person we encounter with respect and appreciation.
Well said. Well, listeners, there you have it, a deep dive into the art of becoming a people magnet. We hope you've enjoyed the journey as much as we have. And remember, even small changes can make a big difference, so pick one of these ideas and try it out this week. Let us know how it goes in the comments. Until next time, keep diving deep and keep shining your light.